transmitting live from the future.
Hello, welcome to the Inlay. My name is DM Bigfoot, and you may or may not know this, but this year marks the 10th anniversary of one of the most popular games in recent memory, Ticket to Ride. Now, Ticket to Ride is a brilliant game. It's fun, it's simple, it's beautiful, and I think it's one of the games that's going to really bridge the gap between the hobby market and sort of the mainstream. It's one of the games that's going to get people around the country to their table with the people they love and have fun with them. And in 2004, when the game came out, Alan R. Moon won the prestigious Spiel des Jahres award. This is a big deal. This is like the Oscars of board games. And in his illustrious career as a board game designer, Alan R. Moon's games have won several awards. But only one other game of his ever had the SDJ logo emblazoned on its box. And that game is the high fantasy adventure known as Elfenland. So, lace up your high boots and grab your longbows as I take you inside the box. Huzzah! In Elfenland, each player is magically transformed into an elf, like me, and actually the game's manual does a better job of explaining actually what the crazy point of this game is, so I'm just going to read the game's description really quick. In Elfenland, young elves have to pass a very special test before they are accepted as grown-ups. All elf girls and elf boys receive a map of Elfenland, and they have to visit as many famous towns in Elfenland as possible, using the common types of elf transportation. Dragons, unicorns, giant pigs, elf cycles, troll wagons, magic clouds, fairies, and rafts. These types of transportation, however, are available in limited numbers and can only be used in specific regions. Thus, an exciting race starts among the elves to find out who will make the best use of the available transportation. The one who visits the most towns wins the game. So, the game goes like this. Every player who's already been magically transformed into an elf gets magically transformed once again into a brightly colored boot, and their corresponding brightly colored elf cylinders are spread throughout the land. Now, over the course of the game, they're going to try to travel as far as they can along the Elfenlands, visiting as many towns as they can in order to collect their brightly colored elf cylinders as quickly as they can, or else someone else will win. But how do you do this? Well, you do this through a combination of these chips and these cards. Now, imagine having these cards as like actually having the vehicle. Like if I have this elf cycle card, it means I actually have an elf cycle to use. And these chips are like street signs limiting what vehicle I can use on what road. Like, whoa there, where do you think you're going? I'm going down this road here. Nope, not on that you won't. This is a pig road. Pigs only. Only if you got a pig. Can't cross. Pig. Need a pig. What do you mean? It's just a road. I have my elf cycle. Nope. Need a pig. That's ridiculous. Where does it say you can only use pigs on this road? It's an open road. What? So each turn, you'll be given a hand of these transportation cards, and then everyone's going to take turns picking up a couple of those road sign chips. And then everyone is going to take turns placing these chips on the board, effectively limiting what can be used on what spaces. And when you're placing these down, you have to take a couple things into consideration. You have to consider what type of terrain each card is good on. And the game has these little reference cards that you can remember. Like, see here, the giant pigs are really good on the forests and the roads. But if you don't have a giant pig, that's okay, because magic clouds can also be used on those. But magic clouds take 2 cards to move one space, so maybe not use them on roads so much unless you need to. Maybe just keep them to the mountains just to make sure everything is efficient. See, the game forces you to plan out your route as best as you can, and this would be perfectly fine if it wasn't for the other pointy-eared jackal sitting across the table with you. They may put down, an elf cycle token where you desperately need to put a unicorn token, and this forces you to do a sort of road trip triage on the board and scope out, figure out what legs of your journey are absolutely essential for you to claim first, and also to mind will your opponents not to place down a chip on the path that you need to claim. Once everyone's placed all their tokens, then every player tries to go as far as they can with the cards that they have. So for example, boom, I got this giant pig that allows me to go through the forest over to here. Some bastards put a troll wagon there, but that's okay, that's okay. I got 2 of those. I can pass through that forest there. Boom. I use my elf cycle to cross over this nice grassy plain, my dragon to pass by this barren desert, and a 2 unicorn combo to get me boom, boom, to here, getting me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of my magic elf cylinders. Yeah! Now once everyone has gone as far as they can, picking up their cylinders along the way, then you reset the board by wiping away all the chips, hand out new hands of cards and new chips, and then do everything all over again, going even further and even further. And after 4 turns of this, the person who's been to the most places and thus picked up the most elf cylinders wins and is the best elf grown-up and gets to make fun of the other elf grown-ups at fancy elf grown-up dinner parties. I won, you didn't win, I won, na 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 na. So, Elfenland has its quirks, especially when trying to explain what the game is to other people, but it's fun and it's flexible, which is a really important thing, I think. You can play it as a happy-go-lucky, very nice game where each person is just trying to manage their hand of cards and their tokens best to just see who wins. Or you could play a little bit fiercer, you could put a little bit more teeth in the game by scoping out what your opponents have, how they're laying down their tokens, and then try to block them, which is fun to be able to have that kind of variety in the game. And if you want some real fun, you can play with these destination cards. Now each of these cards has pictured on them one of the towns on the board. And so each player is going to be dealt one of these at the beginning of the game, and they must end the game on that space, on that town. And if they don't, they lose one of their precious elf cylinders for each space they are away from that town. So it adds a little bit more strategy to the game, which is nice, So pick up Elfenland if you can find it. But in all fairness, it is out of print and may be a little bit difficult to find. But not to worry, because if you want to play the game, or a similar game, you can always pick up Ticket to Ride that I mentioned earlier. Now, Ticket to Ride is a brilliant game, and as I said, it's made by the exact same person, and it's a very similar game with some of the very same mechanics, just tweaked a little bit. Except, apparently, Alan R. Moon decided that high fantasy adventure was just too boring and decided to go with a much more interesting theme. Trains. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Inlay. If you like this video, please let me know. Leave a comment. Tell me some of your favorite games. Let me know what they are so that I can try them out. And if you'd like to see more from the Inlay, check out the playlist. I reviewed some pretty good games on there. I've also reviewed Trouble. And if you like books, why don't you check out The Book Report, my new show where I take an analytical look at books like Fahrenheit 451. And if you just like cool stuff in general, check out istcomics.com, where you can find not only updates for the Inlay and the Book Report, but you can find the comic Generation. I know some of you are going to like it. I know you're going to like it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.